Ladies and gentlemen, friends in the light and the shadow, companions in the great journey of breath and time, there is a moment in every life where silence speaks louder than thunder, when the hush between words carries the weight of 1,000 pages. I ask you now to step into that silence with me, not to fear it, not to rush it, but to listen, as if God himself were walking barefoot across your porch, tapping gently at your door, whispering something too sacred to shout. And if you dare to still yourself long enough, you may hear him say, "Be careful in old age. Not be afraid, not be ashamed, not be cast aside or made invisible, but be careful. Take care. Handle this final arc with the reverence of a sacred song, with the tenderness of a final dance before nightfall. We live in a world that honors speed and applauds youth like it is the only season in the soul's calendar. We press ourselves thin, trying to stay young, forgetful that time is not an enemy but a midwife, guiding us through wrinkle and rhythm into a fuller self. But too often old age is treated as a burden to carry, not a blessing to wear. So when I say, God said, be careful in old age, I do not mean to warn against the years themselves. I mean to warn against what we forget when we get there. I mean to summon us back to a kind of sacred mindfulness that the world has tried to steal from our elders and from the ones who will someday become them. Old age is not a mistake. It is a coronation. But be careful. Be careful not to shrink yourself as the world begins to speak more softly to you. There is danger in invisibility. There is danger in believing the lie that says your wisdom has expired like milk on a shelf. There is danger in forgetting that a tree's roots grow deeper with each passing year. A young tree dances in the breeze. Yes, but an old tree knows the wind. We are gathered here, not as strangers to time, but as witnesses. Some of us wear silver in our hair like medals earned in the wars of living. Others still feel the burn of youth in their blood. But I tell you this, whether you are 20 or 80, you are already on your way to old age, and how you care for it now, how you prepare the path for your future self, or honor those walking ahead of you defines the grace of your journey. Be careful in old age, because it is not the weakness of the body that defeats us. It is the betrayal of the spirit. It is the moment we begin to believe that love no longer needs us, that work no longer waits for us, that the great feast of life has ended, and we are left to wash the dishes. But what if I told you the feast is not over? What if I told you that the ripest fruit grows not at the start of the branch but at the very tip? That some truths can only be sung with a voice weathered by loss, made whole by joy, and deepened by the knowledge that every sunrise is a gift borrowed, not owned. I have sat at the feet of women whose hands were as soft as forgiveness and as strong as justice, women who told me, "Child, do not rush your life, it will find you." And I have listened to men whose backs were bent from lifting others, who spoke little but meant everything. They knew that time does not erase a soul, it distills it. So why then do we spend so much of our lives fearing age, mocking it, hiding from it? Why do we strip our elders of dignity, forcing them into silence while praising the loud and the loudest? It is not age we should be afraid of. It is the culture that forgets its elders. God said, be careful in old age, because this is the time when truth comes home. The lies we told ourselves in youth begin to unravel. The masks fall. The race ends. The crowd disperses. And we are left with ourselves, full and bare. And in that quiet, if we have not made peace with who we are, we will find ourselves strangers in our own skin. So be careful. Be careful with your heart, which has carried you through so much. Be careful with your memory. It is more than nostalgia. It is a map. Be careful with your bones. They are libraries. Be careful with your soul. It is still learning. And to those who are not yet old, do not wait until your knees ache and your voice softens to begin honoring the power of old age. Build now what you will one day depend on. Learn now from those who walk before you. Do not let the speed of the world trick you into thinking that aging is a tragedy. It is the only evidence we have that we have truly lived. When I say be careful, I mean do not throw away the slow moments. Do not rush through your pain. Do not overlook the strange beauty of stillness. There are truths you will never discover in motion. Be careful in old age, because it is easy to let loneliness become your only companion. But there is a difference between solitude and isolation. Solitude is a choice. Isolation is a sentence. Choose to reach out. Choose to remain visible. Speak even when the world grows deaf. Love even when your hands shake. Dream even when your nights are long. Let the soul stretch even when the body tightens. There is something we owe each other, across generations, a kind of reverence, a kind of responsibility. We owe it to our elders to listen not out of pity, but out of deep curiosity, to ask questions while we still can. What did you survive? What did you lose? What do you still believe in? The stories of old men and old women are not bedtime tales for children. They are sacred scrolls. We should sit at their feet as though we are being given treasure, because we are. And to those who feel the burden of years pressing down, remember this: you have not outlived your purpose. Your worth does not decay with your flesh. You are not a used-up candle. You are the flame itself. The world needs your fire. We need your stubborn hope, your fierce memory, your ability to hold joy and grief in the same breath. I say this with all the love my lungs can hold. There is holiness in your wrinkles. There is majesty in your slowness. There is thunder in your whisper. And there is God in your endurance. When God said, "Be careful in old age," I believe he was saying, hold this chapter like scripture. Protect it like sacred land. Speak to it like a trusted friend. Walk through it like a cathedral. Because if we are lucky, truly lucky, we will all arrive there. And we will hope that someone thought to pave the road with grace before we did. That someone thought to leave a lamp burning in the window. That someone believed in our beauty enough to fight for our dignity. So let this be the generation that reclaims the glory of age, that stops hiding from time like it's a thief. Let us walk with our elders, not behind them, not ahead of them, but with them. Let us honor them, not just with words, but with policies, with places at the table, with positions of leadership, with stories written in textbooks, with respect etched into the very bones of our culture. Let us remember, if youth is the spark, then age is the fire. If youth is the sprint, then age is the dance. And what a dance it can be, if we are only brave enough to move slowly, to move deliberately, to move together. So I leave you with this. Be careful in old age, not because it is fragile, but because it is holy. Be careful with your elders, not because they are weak, but because they are the gatekeepers of everything we hope to become. Be careful with yourself as you grow older, because God is still sculpting you. You are still clay in his hands. And when the last chapter comes, may we meet it not with fear, but with the kind of fierce gratitude that says, I lived, I loved, I gave, I grew, and I was never forgotten. We are not merely flesh walking toward decay. We are spirit ascending through seasons. And old age is not the closing of the book. It is the lifting of the final veil. What was hidden begins to make sense. What once seemed chaotic settles into quiet pattern. If youth is a question, then age is the beginning of an answer. It is not the full solution. No, some mysteries belong only to God, but it is a clarity, a reckoning, a hymn hummed in the key of grace. God said, be careful in old age, because the weight of memory grows heavier. The heart remembers not only joy, but wounds, names lost, homes emptied, hands once held now missing. And in that remembering, it is easy to grow bitter, to grow weary. But be careful, because memory, when tended to with love, becomes not a burden, but a bridge. And if you walk that bridge gently, if you cross it with forgiveness, with humility, you may find that the past was not trying to haunt you. It was trying to heal you. Be careful, because in old age people may stop asking for your opinion, but that does not mean it isn't needed. The world may become louder and faster, and your voice may grow quieter, but it is no less powerful. When you speak, truth echoes, even if it doesn't shout. I have seen whole generations move forward, never turning back to ask, who built this ground we walk on? I have seen the builders ignored, erased, dismissed, the wisdom of gray hair treated like dust. But we cannot move forward if we break the compass behind us, and we cannot ask for blessings if we curse the very hands that lifted us. This moment we live in is hungry for quick answers. Social media speeds by like a river in flood. News cycles spin until we forget what the truth was yesterday. But old age reminds us of a slower truth, a deeper knowing, that some things take time to understand, that no great love, no real courage, no lasting legacy ever came from rushing. God said, be careful in old age, because this is when the masks fall off, not just for you, but for others too. People show their truest colors in how they treat those with nothing to offer them. When you are no longer their boss, when you are no longer beautiful by magazine standards, when you are no longer fast or strong, do they still see you? Do they still love you? Old age tests the love around you, but it also reveals the love within you. It asks, Did you pour into others what you wanted to receive in return? Did you live in such a way that your kindness planted trees whose shade you may never sit under? There is power in that kind of living, quiet power, eternal power. Be careful, because the temptation in old age is to become hardened, to say, I've seen too much, I've been disappointed too often, the world is cruel, and I'm done trying. But let me tell you, the softness of an elder who still loves, still gives, still prays, that is the most radical thing in the world. A soft heart in an old body is a miracle. Be careful, because bitterness steals your breath, but hope restores it. Hope is not a naive thing. It is not the denial of suffering, it is the defiance of it. Hope in old age says, I have lost, but I still give. Hope says, I've seen darkness, but I believe in the morning. Hope says, I don't have to run anymore, I can walk, and walking is enough. And to the young among us, those still building their names, still chasing their callings, hear me well. Your elders are not holding you back, they are holding the gate open. Do not see them as roadblocks, but as road signs. They have already taken some of the wrong turns. They have already paid some of the tolls. Listen to them. Learn, and more importantly, love them. Bring them into your conversations. Sit beside them. Hold their hands even when they tremble. Celebrate them, not just at birthdays and funerals, but in the ordinary Tuesdays of life. Honor their small victories, getting out of bed when the pain is loud, choosing laughter when grief still lingers, because one day, if you are blessed, you too will be old, and you will want someone to see your light, even as your eyes dim. Be careful in old age, because it is easy to believe your story is finished. But if you are still breathing, your story is still speaking. The final chapters can be the most profound. A life does not have to end in noise to end in glory. Sometimes the quietest endings leave the deepest echo. I have known elders who started painting at 70, who fell in love again at 82, who made peace with estranged children, who forgave old enemies, who learned new languages, who danced barefoot on beaches they had only dreamed of. There is no expiration date on wonder. There is no ceiling on the soul. Be careful in old age, because the body may falter, but the spirit can soar. The body may forget names, but the soul never forgets purpose. The soul remembers every kindness, every lesson, every tear that shaped it into something holy. The soul wears age like armor, and God does not forget the old. No, He holds them closest. He draws near to the ones the world tries to forget. He speaks most tenderly to those who feel forgotten. If you listen closely, you may hear Him in the rustle of leaves, in the sigh of a tired breath, in the laughter of great-grandchildren who carry your smile. And still I say, be careful, because the world we build now determines the world we inherit in our later years. If we build a society that glorifies speed, we will be discarded when we slow. If we build a culture that fears aging, we will grow old in hiding. But if we build a world where every wrinkle is a medal, every cane a staff of wisdom, every gray hair a halo, we will not fear old age. We will walk into it with heads held high. Be careful, because there are systems that thrive on forgetting the old. Retirement becomes exile. Nursing homes become waiting rooms for the grave. The ones who taught us to read, to walk, to pray, tucked away where we do not have to see them, where their needs are muffled beneath bureaucracy and budget cuts. This is not care. This is abandonment, and we must not accept it. We must build policies that honor aging, not just in word but in action. Affordable health care, dignified housing, mental health support, accessible transit, vibrant community programs. Not because old people are a problem to solve, but because they are people. People who shaped our cities, who fought our wars, who raised our children, who built the schools we now learn in, who wrote the hymns we still sing. Let us not call ourselves a moral society if we cannot protect our elders. Let us not claim to value wisdom if we silence the wise. Let us not say we believe in the sacredness of life and then treat the later chapters as disposable. When God said, be careful in old age, I believe He meant, do not lose the soul of a society in your pursuit of youth, because it is in honoring the old that we learn how to truly honor ourselves. It is in caring for those at the sunset of their lives that we discover what kind of dawn we hope to leave behind. And now I turn to those who carry time in their bones, those whose birthdays stretch farther than their dreams. I see you, I honor you. You are not past your prime. You are your prime. You are the full bloom. You are the tree planted by rivers of resilience whose roots have withstood drought and storm. You are the keeper of the fire. Speak, write, teach, dance. Do not believe the lie that says it's too late. The world needs your voice, your prayers, your perspective, your love. Let your hands, even if they tremble, bless what is coming. Let your eyes, even if they dim, still shine with insight. Let your soul rise and rise again. Because the world has enough cynics. What it needs is your hope. So yes, be careful, but not careful in the way the world tells you. Not timid, not silent, not small. No, be deliberate, be intentional, be wise. Be careful with your time because it is precious. Be careful with your love because it is powerful. Be careful with your story because someone is waiting to hear it. Let your old age be a lantern, a map, a melody, a protest, a poem. Let it be the most courageous chapter of all. And when you cross from this life into the next, may you go not with regret, but with reverence. May the angels rise to greet you and say, "Well done. You walked the path with care. You aged like oak. You loved like rain. You did not waste your fire." God said, "Be careful in old age." And now you know why. And what is it truly? To walk with care into the long twilight of life. It is not to flinch from the mirror. It is not to chase after youth like a ghost you cannot catch. It is to sit, to stand, to walk in your body as it is now, not as it once was. It is to honor the skin that held you through sorrow, through sickness, through sweat and salt and sleepless nights. It is to thank your bones for their labor, even as they ache. It is to carry yourself with the dignity of someone who has survived, because you have, and you still are. To be careful in old age is not to grow cautious in love. On the contrary, it is to love more freely, more honestly. To say, "I love you" without apology, because time no longer allows for pride. It is to forgive faster, because grudges take too much from the breath that remains. It is to choose peace over being right, connection over correction, meaning over noise. To be careful in old age is to remember that the world still needs your fire, but it needs your stillness too. There is something magnetic about a person who has lived long enough to see through the masquerade of success, who has no more need to impress, who has traded ambition for intention, who has learned that power is not in the volume of your voice but in the clarity of your spirit. We live in a time of noise, but you elders, guides, sacred ones, you have lived long enough to know the value of quiet. And not all silence is empty. Some silences are full of knowing. Some silences are the pause between lightning and thunder, the moment just before truth arrives. To be careful in old age is to claim that wisdom, to wield it with love, not with ego, to offer your knowledge not as a weapon but as a seed, not to say "I know better," but to ask, "What can we build together?" Because age is not about command, it is about communion. I have seen elders lead revolutions, not by marching in the front, but by anchoring the back, by reminding the young that they do not march alone, that someone walked this road before them, that even in new struggles there are old truths that will not fail us, that courage is a muscle carried forward from generation to generation, that endurance is learned from those who never had the luxury to give up. To be careful in old age is also to be careful with your dreams, because even now they still matter. They still arrive in the quiet hours, knocking gently. Do not say, "I am too old to try." Do not say, "That door has closed." Some doors open not with speed but with patience. Some dreams ripen only after decades of waiting. You may not climb the highest mountain now, but you can teach someone else how to climb. You may not write the great novel, but you can tell the story that becomes someone else's fire. You may not build the house, but you can bless the foundation. And if you still can build, dream, dare, there is no expiration date on possibility. There is only what you choose to hold, and what you choose to let go. Let go of bitterness. Let go of shame. Let go of the voices that said you were too much or not enough. Let go of regret, not because the pain wasn't real, but because your future is still calling. Hold instead to joy. Hold to resilience. Hold to the quiet confidence that comes from surviving more than you thought you could. Hold to the people who still call you by your true name. And I speak now too to families, to caregivers, to sons and daughters, neighbors and nurses, colleagues and friends. You have a holy responsibility, not just to assist the elderly, but to witness them. Do not reduce them to their needs. Do not define them by what they can no longer do. They are not projects. They are not burdens. They are the living archive of our people. Sit with them, eat with them, laugh with them, record their stories, learn their songs, help them remember who they are when the world tries to make them forget. Because one day, if grace finds you, you too will be old, and how you care now becomes how you are cared for later. To be careful in old age is to be careful with memory. It can slip away like fog at sunrise, but sometimes, just sometimes, a smell, a song, a photograph can bring back a world, and in that remembering, the soul lights up. That light matters. Do not chase it away with impatience. Do not rush it. Sit with it. Let it speak. And if you find yourself forgetting more than you remember, do not despair. You are still here. You are still whole. Your worth is not measured in data recalled, but in presence offered. You do not have to remember everything to be loved. You only have to be. There is holiness in just being. To be careful in old age is to prepare the ground behind you, to pass on not only your belongings, but your beliefs, your truths, your ways of praying, of resisting, of dreaming, of surviving. Write the letter. Say the thing. Bless the ones who will carry your name when you no longer can. This is the great act of aging well, not clinging, but giving, not controlling, but trusting, not mourning the fire gone, but feeding the fire still burning in others. This is not weakness, it is transcendence. Be careful in old age, because the world may try to convince you that the best is behind you, but I say the best is within you, the deepest truth, the final grace, the last, most beautiful surrender. It is not the age of the body that defines us, but the age of the spirit. Some people grow old and grow bitter, others grow old and grow wide, grow soft, grow open, like a field in bloom, like a hand no longer clenched. We need more of that kind of eldering. We need people who do not hoard their power, but pass it on like bread, who do not guard the gate, but swing it open wide, who do not mock the young for their mistakes, but say, yes, I made them too. Come sit beside me. Let me tell you what I learned. We need elders who are not afraid of vulnerability, who do not hide their loneliness, but name it so others may feel less alone, who say, yes, this is hard, yes, I get scared too. But even here, even now, we go on. Be careful in old age, because you may become someone else's anchor. Someone is watching how you age. They are learning how to carry pain by watching how you carry yours. They are learning how to hold joy by seeing you still laugh, still hope, still praise. You are the blueprint. Be careful what you draw. To the ones who feel forgotten, I say this, you are not. Your presence is still necessary. Your life is still teaching. Your spirit is still writing the story of who we are. And to the young ones with fire in your eyes and impatience in your bones, I love that fire. But do not burn the bridge to the past. Build it. Walk it. Learn what stands on the other side. For every step you take was made possible by someone who came before. You will age too, if the world is kind, and you will need what you cannot yet understand. So bring your energy, but bring your reverence too. Bring your innovation, but bring your listening ears. Bring your ambition, but bring your gratitude. And in that beautiful space between youth and age, may we meet each other fully, no one ahead, no one behind, just a people walking together through time. Because when God said, be careful in old age, He wasn't just talking to the old. He was speaking to all of us. Be careful what you value. Be careful what you ignore. Be careful whom you honor. Be careful with time. It moves faster than we think, and yet within it there is all the space we need to become, to repair, to bless, to love. So go gently, go deeply, go wisely, and if you are lucky enough to grow old, grow whole, grow brave, grow free, and may your final years be not a fading but a crescendo, not an ending but a rising, not a shadow but a glory. Be careful in old age, for it is a holy thing, a sacred fire, a whispered prayer, a final yes, and the world is watching how you carry it. So carry it well, and when we speak of carrying it well, we do not mean without trembling. We do not mean with perfection. No, we mean with reverence. We mean with the steady intention to treat your remaining years, not as a descent, but as a rising into the full stature of your soul, stripped now of pretense, refined by time, humbled by loss, but radiant still with truth. Be careful, because there will be those who pity you, who whisper in hushed voices about decline, as though the natural rhythm of life were a shameful thing. There will be those who turn their faces when they see the limp, the cane, the wrinkle, the forgetfulness. But you must not turn away from yourself. You must not shrink. You must not believe that the mirror speaks of lesser things. The mirror cannot see what eternity sees. And in the eyes of eternity, age is not a burden. It is a crown. It is the proof that you stayed, that you kept breathing when it hurt, that you dared to love again, even after heartbreak. that you remained soft when the world grew hard, that you prayed when your voice shook, that you sang when your bones ached, that you forgave when no apology came, that you lived. So be careful how you speak of yourself in these later years. Words carry power. Do not call yourself useless. Do not joke about being obsolete. You are not a relic. You are a revelation. You are not fading. You are distilling. What remains now is only the purest part. And to those whose elders are nearing the end, I say this with tenderness. Do not wait to say what needs to be said. Do not let pride be the fence that keeps you from love. Say thank you. Say I see you. Say I'm sorry. Say I forgive you. Say I love you. Say it again. Because there comes a day when time runs out, when the chair is empty, when the hand no longer reaches back, and in that silence, what you said or failed to say will echo. So let the echo be kindness. Let the echo be love. And if the person you want to forgive is gone, forgive them anyway. Speak it into the air. Write it in a letter you never send. Let your heart be the altar, your tears the offering. Release yourself from the weight. Old age does not mean carrying the past like a punishment. It means finally choosing what you want to hold and what you are ready to set down. Set it down. All that shame you were never meant to keep, all that resentment that hardened your jaw, all those what-ifs and should-haves. Let them fall like autumn leaves. The ground can take them. You have more walking to do. Walk freely. Because God, in His infinite mercy, never told us to be ashamed of aging, only to be careful with it, to walk through it as through sacred land, to see each year not as something lost, but something gained, perspective, strength, empathy, insight. To be careful in old age is to understand that you are no longer racing, but you are still running. And maybe, just maybe, this part of the race is the most important, not because it is the loudest, not because it is cheered, but because it is closest to the finish line. And in that closeness, every step becomes holy. So make your steps count. Love without hesitation. Laugh without restraint. Rest without guilt. Speak without fear. Ask the questions you were too scared to ask before. Share the truths you were once too afraid to say. And listen, oh listen, like the world depends on it. Because it does. The young are watching. The lost are listening. The grieving are reaching. The world is yearning for something ancient and honest. Something that cannot be bought or downloaded or performed. It yearns for the real. And you, dear elder, you are the real. Not curated, not filtered, not trendy. True. So be careful what you offer the world, because when you speak they will feel it. When you cry they will understand it. When you pray something in the air will shift. You have that kind of power now. Be careful with it. Use it well. And in moments of loneliness, remember, the moon is lonelier than you, and still it shines. You do not need a crowd to be radiant. You do not need applause to be worthy. You do not need company to be complete. Sit in the quiet, and let your soul speak. Let it remind you that you are not your pain. You are not your illness. You are not your losses. You are the one who endured them. You are the one still here. And there is beauty in that. Unspoken, unpolished beauty. There is beauty in the way you wake, even when it takes effort. Beauty in how you hold a spoon, how you sip your tea, how you tell the same story for the 5th time, not because you forget, but because it still matters, because it shaped you. There is beauty in the softness of your hands, in the way you pause before you speak, in the tears you no longer hide, in the laugh that still escapes like a melody from long ago. There is beauty in your presence. Be careful never to doubt it. And for the world around you, our policies, our communities, our industries and churches and schools, we must do better. We must do better by those who came before us. We must stop treating old age as an afterthought, as a burden to be managed. We must design a world that does not just accommodate age, but welcomes it, reveres it, celebrates it. A world where old age is not a problem to solve, but a season to honor. Where no elder is left in isolation. Where no elder dies forgotten. Where no elder goes unseen. And yes, we must prepare, not just for retirement plans and care homes, but for meaningful connection, for roles of leadership and mentorship, for storytelling, for purpose. Let us create cities with benches under trees, where elders can sit and be. Let us build classrooms where children listen to the living history, walking among them. Let us fill community centers with music, with poetry, with memories. Let us invest in the arts, in access, in wellness, in dignity, because old age is not just an individual experience, it is a communal one. When we neglect it, we all lose. When we honor it, we all rise. So be careful in old age. Yes, but also be bold, be joyful, be gracious, be radiant, be wild with wisdom. Let yourself be seen. Let yourself be heard. Let yourself be joy. You are not forgotten. You are not behind. You are not finished. You are the sacred bridge between all that was and all that will be. And when you cross that final threshold, may it be with nothing left unsaid, nothing left unloved. May it be with the peace of a person who has lived with careful intention, who has given with full heart, who has aged like a star, burning brightly, gently, wisely, until the last. God said, be careful in old age. So let us walk forward with open eyes and open arms. Let us honor the steps that came before us. Let us become the ancestors we needed. Let us treat every wrinkle as a story, every silver hair as a prayer, every quiet evening as a sacred hymn. Let us live in such a way that when we too grow old, we will have no need to fear it, because we have made peace, because we have left love, because we have lived carefully, fully, faithfully. So let it be. And so it is. And so we return again and again to the center of the message. God said, be careful in old age, not because it is fragile, but because it is sacred. Because the later chapters of life are not the footnotes, but the culmination. They are not the echo, but the full resonant sound of a lifelong song. To walk carefully into old age is not to walk timidly. It is to walk mindfully, as one does through a garden after rain. With appreciation, with awe, with a kind of listening in your steps. Because by the time you have reached the garden of your later years, you know the sound of the earth. You know what pain feels like. You know what grace costs. You know how quickly a season can change. And if you are listening closely, you'll hear something different in the voices around you. Those who once led now look to you. Those who once feared now lean on your calm. Those who once dismissed now begin to seek your counsel. And in this you realize, your value has not diminished, it has deepened. So be careful with your voice, not because it is frail, but because it is potent. The words of the aged are no longer guesses, they are offerings, they are maps, they are balm and boundary. What you say now carries the weight of a life examined. So do not waste your words. Speak with purpose, and sometimes do not speak at all. There is power in the still presence of an elder, power in the way you sit in a room without needing to perform, power in the nod that says, I've seen this before. You become, in these moments, not a bystander but a keeper of wisdom. And wisdom, unlike knowledge, is never rushed. Wisdom waits. Wisdom watches. Wisdom understands the long game. Wisdom does not shout from rooftops. It whispers in quiet corners when the room is ready to hear it. To be careful in old age is to know when to speak and when to simply be. And how do you be? You wake each day with wonder if you can. You open your eyes not to mourn what is missing, but to bless what remains. The sun still rises for you. The birds still sing. The breeze still greets your cheek as though you were the only soul it's ever known. You live not for the grand gesture, but for the small holiness of each day, the feel of warm water on your skin, the rustle of leaves just outside the window, the laughter of a grandchild, or the quiet companionship of a friend who knows how to sit in silence. You begin to understand that you are not just living days, you are living moments, and moments matter. Because in old age, time becomes like honey, slower, sweeter, and also stickier with memory. One scent can pull you back, one song can return you to your first heartbreak. One look from a stranger might remind you of someone long gone. Memory, in these years, becomes a terrain you navigate with both joy and ache. And it is a terrain you must walk carefully. Do not get lost in it. Honor it, but do not let it pull you away from the living. Do not stay so long in yesterday that you forget to bless today. The dead do not want your absence. They want your presence. They want you to live, not merely to remember. So live. Let your memories be windows, not prisons. Let them light your way forward. Because even now, you are moving forward. You may not run, but you still walk. You may not build, but you still bless. You may not create in the same ways, but you are still generative of wisdom, of compassion, of legacy. And legacy is not about what you leave behind. It is about what you pass forward. So be careful what you pass. Pass joy, not fear. Pass truth, not cynicism. Pass tenderness. Pass forgiveness. Pass the lesson that love outlives death, that kindness is never wasted. that slowing down is not a loss, it is a gift. We are so often taught to run, to push, to climb, but in old age the sacred task is to receive, to let the striving cease, to find peace in enough love, enough grace, enough breath to carry you gently into the next hour, the next conversation, the next quiet rest. And in this slowing, you may begin to notice things others do not. The way the sky changes its tone just before dusk, the softness in a nurse's voice when she asks if you're comfortable, the quiet courage in your own hands, still doing their best. This is the hidden glory of age. Not in being seen, but in seeing more. You become a poet of the mundane, a celebrant of the ordinary, a witness to what was always sacred, now finally clear. And if there is pain, and there often is, let it be part of your song, not the whole story. Do not pretend it is not there, but do not let it speak for all of you. Let joy speak too. Let faith speak. Let beauty have a voice. You are not the sum of your ailments. You are not defined by what hurts. You are still you. Yes, even now, especially now, and perhaps most carefully now. Be careful how you carry your days, because they are fewer, but that does not make them lesser. In fact, it makes them more precious, more deserving of attention, more worthy of presence. And if you fear what lies ahead, know that fear is not failure. It is human. Let yourself feel it, but do not let it make your home. Fear is the guest. You are the host. Offer it tea, then bid it farewell. Replace it with trust, not the naive trust of youth, but the earned trust of one who has seen too much to doubt the hand of grace, that grace will carry you even when strength does not, that grace will find you even when memory fades, that grace will hold you even when the world moves too fast to notice. You are not forgotten, you are not alone, and when the time comes to let go, not just of possessions or roles or identities, but of this world itself, let it be with the peace of one who walked carefully, who loved deeply, who gave freely, who lived with a heart turned toward the sacred. Because you were never just growing old, you were becoming whole, you were learning how to return, and in that return, may there be no fear, only love, only light, only the whispered echo of a life lived carefully, and therefore fully. God said, "Be careful in old age." And so with each breath, we heed the call, we live with reverence, we age with intention. We walk not away from the world, but into its deepest mystery, and in the silence, in the stillness, we hear what we could not hear before, the heartbeat of the divine, the lullaby of the soul, the soft eternal yes. Thank you.